You wake up, but you can't move. The room feels off. Your chest is heavy. Something's breathing in the corner. And then you see it. A shadow, a humanoid, that's still watching. And it's not part of your dream because you're awake, but you're paralyzed. And it's real.
These aren't nightmares, they're something else entirely. Sleep paralysis, but attached to it a worldwide phenomenon. Shadow people, and hatmen and dark figures. Entities that people across cultures and centuries have seen, described, and feared.
Science calls it a sleep disorder. Folklore calls it a haunting. Some call them demons. Others say they're visitors. But here's the question: what if they're all right?
In this episode, we're exploring one of the oldest, strangest, most universally feared phenomena, from the neuroscience of REM state paralysis to ancient sleep demons to the theory that these things are interdimensional entities feeding on our unconsciousness. And yeah, it's gonna get weird.
And today we ask, are the beings we meet in the paralysis just dreams? Or are we waking up to something that's always been there?
Welcome to Unreal and Unsolved, episode 17. Shadow people and sleep paralysis demons. Are these just dreams or real beings? Okay, so how long would you say is the average like nap for you?
For me?
For you, yeah.
Hmm.
Like as in
Like, but you mean just nap or you mean like proper deep sleep?
nap. I would say nap, yeah. Like during the day.
I don't sleep during the day, you know that.
Okay, fine. Like proper sleep during the day.
During the night?
During the day.
During the day, I don't sleep at all.
Okay, but if you were to,
I cannot sleep in the afternoon.
you can. You've done
I
it
can't.
before.
Like maybe if I haven't slept properly the previous
Yeah.
night or if I'm extremely tired, but otherwise
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just
Okay.
can't.
On those days.
Maybe three hours, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Okay. See, this is where you're lying
Why?
because you've never napped in your life that long.
I'm saying
The
if
person you're describing is me. Every time you've
no,
not
you
slept
are an
properly.
average of 4 hours.
Yeah, that's like my nap.
Me, yeah, and for me, I'm saying during the day, it's very rare I would sleep.
Yeah. And every
Sometimes
time
even
you
if I don't
sleep
sleep in the
during the
night,
yeah,
even then I don't sleep in the day.
exactly. But even when you've not had like a proper good night's like worth of sleep, you like nap for like 45 minutes maximum and get up.
That's not true.
That's true.
Anyway, getting back to the, but no, what was your point?
That you're weird.
The, you asked me the question to show that I'm weird,
Yeah. Because who takes a nap for like 45 minutes and then
but I don't at all. I take like 0 minutes.
see that's weird because I'm struggling to get through the day.
Yeah, I know that. Okay, so coming back to the episode, let's start with the biology, right? Sleep paralysis is not a ghost story. It's actually a well documented REM sleep phenomenon. So during REM, which is rapid eye movement, sleep, your brainstem sends inhibitory signals to keep your major muscle group atonic. That kind of prevents you from physically acting out dreams.
So normally you cycle in and out of REM several times a night, but sometimes your brain kind of just wakes up before the body, just which kind of leaves you in that limbo, like mind awake, body locked, like heart rate spikes, breathing becomes shallow, your amygdala, your that's your like brain's alarm center that just lights up.
And you feel like chest pressure as if is sitting on you. You feel tactile hallucination, which is like a crawling, weighty presence. You feel auditory illusions, that is, rustling, breathing, whispers, and most notoriously, figures in the room, shadows, outline silhouettes at the foot of your bed.
Functional like MRI scans show that during sleep paralysis, regions responsible for emotion and fear, especially the amygdala and insula, are hyperactive, while the prefrontal cortex, the areas that rationalize experience, are suppressed. and you're kind of trapped in a fear dream, but you're lucid and just terrified.
And clinical studies report up to 40% of people experience at least one episode in their lifetime, and around 7% suffer recurrent paralysis. And the factors actually include sleep deprivation and irregular schedules, high stress, PTSD, or anxiety disorders, supine sleeping position, which is basically flat on your back, and certain medications or substances.
Okay, that kind of sounds like you. Have you had a sleep paralysis
I don't think so.
experience before? I haven't either.
Yeah, me neither.
It just sounds scary.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. You're sleep deprived. You have an irregular sleep schedule. You've got high stress. You've got an anxiety disorder. Like, you sleep flat on your back.
What I don't have is sleep paralysis.
No, you don't have certain medications.
Must be.
Yeah. Mine is, I sleep too much. Like,
Yeah, you're always
maybe,
sleeping.
like, sometimes most nights I sleep around, like, 12 o'clock in the night. But then I still sleep for, like, a good 2 hours during the day.
Exactly.
Just so I'm not sleep deprived at all. I sleep too much. But anyways, from like a scientific like what are you gonna say? No,
Nothing.
say it.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, it sounded to me like you wanted to say something. Oh, it looked to me. Okay, but anyways, from a scientific standpoint, basically these symptoms are like hallucinations conjured by like misfiring REM system. But inside the hallucination, people see and feel like entities, right? Their brain produce their brains produce something so vivid of an image that it feels real.
So next we'll kind of trace how every culture and history has actually tried to explain these same terrifying figures long before neuroscience existed. So before sleep paralysis had a clinical name, or before EEG machines, REM stages, and neurology labs, people were already seeing the same thing. They didn't call it a hallucination. They didn't talk about atonia. They just said something came for me while I slept.
And what was kind of really terrifying is that they were all kind of describing the same thing, like all around the world. Without the internet, without communication, and without shared language, they all told stories of dark beings who sit on your chest, steal your breath, and just watch you from the corners and wait. This is really giving Edward Cullen. Like he stands there in the corner.
Yeah, he does.
You don't see his face.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone just was experiencing the wrath of Edward Cullen.
So let's start with one of the oldest. In ancient Mesopotamia, there was a demon called Lilu. He was described as a spirit that entered the bedroom, paralyzed the victim, and caused terrifying visions. Now, does that sound familiar?
And his female counterpart, Lilitu, later represented as Lilith, the night demon. So in Jewish
Is that where Lilith from Supernatural comes?
I think Lilith from Supernatural is maybe, but
Because she was also a demon.
yeah, but Lilith from Supernatural is more of the first woman before Eve, yeah. Because Lilith was too demonic for
To be the first woman.
yeah, like she wasn't what's the word delicate enough. She wasn't like delicate enough for a woman
I see that.
for some goddamn reason. Adam deserved a punch. His Adam's apple should have like gone inside his throat. But anyways, in Jewish mythicism, mythicism,
Mysticism.
mysticism, she's basically said to appear during sleep to torment, seduce, or suffocate, and she was believed to steal breath from the sleeping.
And in Scandinavian countries, it was the mare, a dark feminine force who would sit on your chest and cause night riding. That,
Um,
that's where we get the word nightmare. Not as a metaphor, as a literal demonic visitation. Night
Night
and
riding.
mare.
Yeah, it's giving incubus and succubus vibes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys know what they are.
You can just explain it.
Yeah, so incubus and like succubus are like these sex demons, and they're like these spirits, I guess, with malintent, and they try to seduce you and just sexually abuse you, basically. Abuse and assault you. Like, no consent, nothing. They just ghosts who are horny. Except they actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, you've got, riding and nightmare. But then, and also, you've got, in Thailand, there's a spirit called Fiam, a ghost that haunts those who sleep on their backs. Um, just imagine going out and targeting people who sleep on their backs. Like, they're literal freaks. How are you sleeping on your back? Number one. So, understandable. And these people who are attacked, they kind of describe partial awareness and the inability to move and the feeling of a cold body pressing down on them. And villagers believe that that Fiam attacks the soul during sleep, and protective rituals are still practiced to this day.
In Japan, it's called kanashibari, which is literally bound in metal. It's described as a force that holds the body hostage while malevolent spirits enter the room. Japanese traditions often attribute this paralysis to vengeful spirits or the presence of a Ural, a ghost with unfinished business.
And then in West Africa, the Yoruba people describe an entity called Ogun Uru, a nocturnal devil that attacks during dreams. And the infliction is so specific and well known that it's treated not as a mental condition but as more of like a spiritual event.
And in Arabic traditions, you get the jinn. So, not the ones from the genie tales, the old ones, the ones made of smokeless fire. They're described as interdimensional creatures who slip into the world while you sleep and sit on your chest. And modern accounts from the Middle East still mention the heavy presence and shadowy forms associated with these beings.
Let's like pause for a second here, right? Because this is global. Basically, ancient and all of these stories are identical, right? These stories all describe a shadowy presence, immobility, fear, and very often just pressure. And science didn't connect these dots. People who had no contact already did.
So either the same misfiring brain circuit had produced perfectly matching demons across 5,000 years of human history, or something real is happening. Something that we've only learned to medicalize, not explain.
So next up, we're gonna be looking into modern day accounts, right? People who are alive now, today, who are seeing the same things, and not dreams and not metaphors, but beings.
Now let's come to the present. No ancient scrolls, no dusty folklore. Let's talk about people alive today and the frightening consistency in what they describe. Across Reddit threads, clinical studies, documentaries, late night radio shows, and the millions of whispered retellings, we see the same core figure come up again and again. A shadow person, dark, humanoid, tall, often male shaped but not always, no facial features, no eyes or glowing red ones, and always watching you.
So let's go through some of the stories, right? So this person has said that.
I was 16. I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't move. I saw a man in a hat, tall, black silhouette. He was just standing in the doorway. I couldn't scream. I could only cry.
So that's only one account, right? Now multiply that by hundreds of thousands. The same hat, the same silhouette, and the same paralysis.
That one, that's the Hat Man, probably the most commonly seen subtype of the shadow entity. He's often described as wearing a fedora style or wide brimmed hat, sometimes a coat. No features, just outline darkness, height, and presence.
He just stands, he doesn't move, he doesn't speak, but I know he hates me.
And then we've got the crawlers, shadow figures that are low to the ground. They're described as moving with inhuman speed like a glitching spider or a backwards animal, seen climbing walls, ceiling, crawling onto the bed, and just always getting closer to you. So the account says that.
I figured it crawl up my leg and sit on my chest. I couldn't breathe. I could feel its weight, but see nothing but the outline of its head.
And then there are the watchers. The ones don't interact. They just stand in the corner, sometimes for months, and people report recurring episodes, the same figure appearing over and over again. Always in the same spot, always silent.
And here's where it gets terrifying because some of these people have never had sleep paralysis before, no trauma history, no stress, and nothing that fits the scientific model. Yet they report a full sensory encounter smell, touch, temperature change, even electronic interference.
And there's cross account synchronicity. People describing specific gestures, like the entity reaching for their throat or pacing around the bed, but never crossing a certain line. Multiple accounts say that they sense when it's about to appear days before it happens.
Some even say that the figure followed them across locations. They moved houses, moved cities, and it came anyways.
I thought it was tied to that bedroom. I was wrong. I saw him again in my dorm. Then again, at my cousin's house, always at the foot of the bed.
One woman kept a journal of her experiences and noted electrical issues every time she saw it. Her lamp flickered, digital clocks reset, and her dog refused to enter the room.
Which brings up another chilling pattern, right? Animals reacting to these entities. Dogs just start randomly growling at corners. Cats hiss at nothing. Birds go silent, and in multiple cases, pets have sensed the being before the person wakes up.
And here's the twist no one explains. Sometimes multiple people in the same house experience the same entity on the same night. Different rooms, same description.
I saw a tall black shadow in my hallway and couldn't move. The next morning, my sister said that she had a dream about a man without a face in the same hallway. We hadn't spoken about it at all.
So, how do you explain consistency across people who don't know each other, who don't share cultures, language, religions, but who all describe the same thing? If it's a hallucination, why are we hallucinating the same archetype?
Maybe this isn't a glitch. Maybe it's a reveal. Maybe something is there and we only see it when our brain is too paralyzed to look away.
So, coming up next, we move from witness accounts to theorized functions. So what are shadow people doing when they appear? Feeding, observing, paralyzing us on purpose? Or are we the ones bleeding into their dimension?
Let's say for a moment that shadow people are not hallucinations. Let's say that they're real beings or cross dimensional entities or even an ancient species that lives just slightly out of phase with us. If they're real, then the question becomes why are they here?
Because they don't just appear and vanish, right? They arrive. There's a whole ritual to it. You're sleeping, you wake up, you freeze, your body locks down, and then they show up. Then they do something. So, what is it? Let's basically just go through the most dominant theories.
Theory 1, they're feeders. That shadow entities feed on human emotion, especially fear, despair, panic, and helplessness. It's a common belief in occult circles that emotions emit subtle energetic frequencies, and the most potent of all, terror.
So, in this theory, they induce paralysis on purpose, not to harm, but to rather milk your fear. And they don't need your soul, but they need your panic. That moment when your brain spirals and just starts screaming, but your mouth won't open. That pure, helpless terror is their fuel.
Supporters of this theory point to how entities never attack directly. They rarely touch, they rarely speak. They stand, they stare, they wait. Because it's not physical interaction they want, it's energetic extraction.
And also, I guess that makes sense why they just stand sort of in one place, or just with the crawlers, they crawl up to you and just stay there. Because if someone were to come and jump scare you, that fear and that terror lasts for a couple seconds, maybe minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that anxiety and anxiousness of what are you gonna do? Why are you just standing there staring at me? Causes so much more like anxiety and fear.
Yeah,
I guess so. It makes sense why they just stand in the corner of rooms, or
for sure.
right. And the next theory we have, so theory two, is that they're observers. So this one suggests that shadow people are just watchers, not malevolent or benevolent. Yes, benevolent. Just monitoring. Some believe that they're extraterrestrials. Some say that they're interdimensional anthropologists, and others describe them as caretakers of the simulation.
So, people who report recurring visits often describe a sense of surveillance rather than aggression. The entity doesn't react, doesn't emote, it just watches. Sometimes for years, never intervening, just standing at the edge of your consciousness.
And here's the creepy detail, right? A lot of these people are sensitive, as in they're empathetic, spiritual, or have experienced other phenomena like precognition or UFO sightings. It's as if they've been marked and the watchers are just keeping tabs on them.
That brings us to theory 3, which is symptom of overlap. What if they're not here at all? What if you're there? That REM sleep paralysis state, halfway between sleep and wake, could be an overlap between dimensions. You're half in, half out, and what you see isn't your room, it's in theirs.
So, like the Monsters Inc. thing.
Yeah.
So, this could kind of explain why they often look confused, why they don't approach, and why they seem to be observing you as much as you are observing them. Because you're the anomaly. Sorry to say it, but you've kind of appeared in their plane, and just for a moment, and they're kind of just trying to figure out what you are.
And this also explains why you can't move. Your body is still in our world, but your consciousness has flickered into theirs. And in their world, you don't belong, so they stare. And maybe they wonder how you got in.
So, theory 4 is that they're warnings. Some experiencers claim that the repeated visits by shadow entities happen before a major life event, like a death in their family, a traumatic accident, a life altering diagnosis. And in this interpretation, the figure is not the danger, it's the omen. They don't cause the pain, rather, they like herald it.
And in some situations, or traditions, sorry, that's their role. The herald, the shadow before the storm, a presence that appears before fate shifts, whether as a warning or a guide, whether to comfort or collect.
And the wildest theory of all is that what if they're us, right? Future echoes, shadow versions of ourselves looping back during moments of vulnerabilities. Not ghosts, not aliens, but echoes of our own unresolved energy just watching across timelines.
Next, we look at what if these beings aren't random? What if they're part of something larger? A network of entities linked by location, intention, or memory. So here's the problem with treating shadow people as isolated events. You think of it as your nightmare, your hallucination, your sleep disorder. But what happens when thousands of people across continents report the same being? With the same posture, same behavior, same silence. It stops looking like imagination and starts looking like a networked phenomenon.
So let's break that down, right? So, in technical terms or tech terms, right? If the same dark figure is showing up in multiple nodes, place, places, dreams with no centralized trigger, that kind of suggests a decentralized coordination, right? A system and possibly a purpose.
We've got geographical clusters. They're areas where sleep paralysis episodes spike, not due to sleep disorders, but shared sightings. Some of the hotspots include Manila, Philippines. Dozens of documented cases describing the same female shadow sitting on chests. Rural Appalachia. Recurring reports
Yeah,
of tall,
I think it's Appalachia.
black coated men showing up across generations. In London, there are clusters of crawling shadows with identical movement patterns. And perhaps the most bizarre one is multiple accounts of the Hat Man showing up within the same apartment complex in different tenants' lives, years apart.
Oh, yeah. Um, I know Appalachia. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I do think it's what's it called? Oh my god, the settlers in the U.S. before Columbus invaded it. What is it called? It's another word for dead Indians. It starts with IN. No, no, wait, what is it? What is it? Is it Inuit?
Can you move on?
Thanks for. Okay, that was mean. But now consider this, right? Some experiencers describe feeling known by the entity. They report eye contact, even without eyes, recognition. And one woman said that
I felt like it remembered me, like it had visited before, but I didn't remember those times.
Some claim that the shadow appears to different people in their lives but always the same form. Same height, same behavior, almost like the same profile moving through different users. Like it's logged in and kind of switching accounts.
also I remembered what it's called. It's indigenous people. Cool. Anyways, so like what if these are not many beings, but a few entities appearing across thousands of humans
Simultaneously.
simultaneously, fragmented yet connected? And here's the thing: some experiencers remember things they shouldn't, and details that don't belong to them. After an encounter, people report foreign dreams, strange languages, and emotions that feel borrowed.
One man said that he had a memory of drowning for weeks after an encounter, only to learn his downstairs neighbor had experienced a sleep demon the same night that had had a lifelong fear of drowning. They'd never spoken before. Speaking. They'd never spoken before until they compared notes.
It's as if something leaked. Memory, emotion, fear just transferred. Like the shadow wasn't just watching, it was collecting.
And what if this is an archive, a dispersed intelligence that moves between minds during paralysis, gathering data, emotions, behavioral reactions, or conscious snapshots?
And just like a neural net, each shadow encounter is a node. You, paralyzed in your bed, terrified. You're not alone. You're part of an information system and you don't even know it.
So next we look at what if the system isn't just observing but responding? What happens when people try to fight back and succeed? Are some people immune? Are some being trained? So we've talked about paralysis, the silence, the stillness, the fear. But here's a question no one ever expects to ask. What happens if you fight back? What happens if you move?
Because believe it or not, some people do. Not many, but enough to form a pattern. Lucid dreamers, spiritual practitioners, meditators, people who mid-terror just push back. And the shadow recoils.
Let's start with lucid dreamers. There are cases where experienced lucid dreamers report being trapped in sleep paralysis, seeing the shadow figure, and realizing they're dreaming. In that moment, they reassert control, and the figure vanishes or retreats, almost like it only exists while you're helpless.
So one man wrote,
I saw the shadow. It was standing by the middle. I was frozen, but remembered a lucid technique. I focused on moving the single finger. I moved it. Then my hand. I reached for the shadow. It screamed like actual sound, and I woke up sweating.
Another pattern is invoking protection. Many people report that prayer, regardless of religion, can banish the entity. It doesn't even need to be loud, just intended. Some whisper, some think of it, and the shadow recoils.
that suggests one of two things. One, it's a psychological reset. regaining control by reclaiming the self. Or two, that these things respond to intention, like they're weak against belief.
In one chilling case, a woman claimed she had sleep paralysis since childhood, always the same dark figure. But one night, she demanded its name. She couldn't speak, but she thought it, and it vanished. After that, it never returned, not once.
So, what is that, right? Some say it's recognition, that naming the entity breaks its power, a concept older than any religion, and in mythology. Names are control. To name a spirit is to bind it. To understand a force is to reclaim your power.
But here's the creepy flip side. Some who resist don't end the experiences, they evolve them. The shadow changes, becomes more aware, adapts. One woman who started meditating during sleep paralysis said that the shadow figure stopped appearing, but she began to see other things bright, glowing entities, non human shapes. She said,
It's like once I stopped being afraid, I moved to a different level, and what was waiting there wasn't any more comforting.
So this lady, right, she confronted it. And then from like a dark shadow figure, it became like bright glowing entities.
Yeah,
Right. And non human shape.
yeah.
And in that sense, I would say like it would be more trusting.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you see a shadowy man just at the foot of your bed,
Yeah.
I think I'd be more scared of that than just bright glowing entity. It's as like a circle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I see that.
So what if it's trying to get you to trust it now?
After you've reached the next level?
Yeah. It's like, tell me all your secrets. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Because usually people feel more comforted by the light than the dark.
Of course.
So they see something bright and glowing. Like,
Could be.
what the hell, dude? So maybe it's like trying to manipulate you, like reverse psychology, you know? Or just trying to confuse you at the end of the day. You're shadowy one day, next day you're like bright and glowy. So right, and some researchers have floated this really wild theory that shadow people are the first level. The
Introductory.
introductory
Introductory.
introductory
Mm-hmm.
guardian class of like some kind of larger layered dimension, and if you break past the fear you kind of like graduate, right? But what's kind of waiting on level 2?
Which leads to the most unreal idea of the night. What if the shadow isn't your enemy, but your teacher? Like a test interface. An ancient protocol designed to teach you how to face fear, master your mind, and unlock deeper consciousness.
I'd be more scared if it was my teacher than just a random shadowy figure. Because I swear to God, don't start teaching me math while I'm like paralyzed. I can't even move out. You do this for hours and hours together. Oh, I'd kill myself. But if that's true, right? Then resisting isn't just survival; it's initiation. And the paralysis isn't punishment; it's a threshold. And most people never cross it because they don't want to confront that fear.
So coming up next, we see what if these aren't entities at all? What if they're actually glitches in reality? And evidence that we are the ones asleep and the shadow people are trying to wake us up. Alright, so we've gone through science, folklore, paranormal accounts, neural misfires. But what if we ask an unreal question? What if this isn't about dreams or demons at all? What if it's shadow people? What if shadow people aren't visitors? What if they're the system errors? Signs that the simulation we live in is beginning to crack.
First of all, this isn't an Unreal episode.
It's not.
It's an Unsolved episode.
It is.
And glad to say the last Unsolved episode
Actually.
for the season. Not forever. For the season.
Yes.
It's okay. You don't need to cry. We're gonna come back to you soon.
With
I see
season
you
two.
wiping your tears. Don't do it. It's okay. We're still here. Don't worry. But welcome to simulation theory meets sleep paralysis, because let's assume just for a second that reality is digital, right? Maybe not running on a computer, but like in like the literal sense, but structured like a system. So a programmed environment where events, objects, and you operate on rules, and it's kind of written in code.
Now, what happens when this code lags? When your consciousness wakes up before your physical interface is fully online? Glitches, sluttering time, frozen muscles, and things
Watering time?
stuttering time, frozen muscles, and things that weren't meant to render, like the shadows in the corners.
In programming, when a game crashes, it often reveals debug environments, wireframes, black figures, placeholder models, things that the player was never meant to see. So, what if sleep paralysis is just a momentary crash, and shadow people are the placeholders, fragments of reality's backend code that should have stayed hidden?
Think about it. They don't speak, they don't have faces, they don't do anything until you look, until you realize you're conscious when you shouldn't be. And then they react. Not like monsters, but like security software.
And here's the terrifying hypothesis, right? Shadow people, they aren't glitches, they're firewalls, programs that run when your awareness breaks the rules. Their job is to contain you until the system boots properly.
The heavy pressure, the paralysis, the overwhelming dread. That's the system restarting you, relocking your perception. You were never supposed to be awake then, but you were definitely never supposed to see them.
One Reddit user described his experience feeling like,
I saw the shadow figure standing by my dresser, and then I swear to God, my whole drone flickered like a pixel glitch. The figure turned slowly, and I felt like it was looking up directly at my code. Not at me, at my code.
Another person wrote,
It didn't feel like it wanted to hurt me. It felt like it was scanning me, like I wasn't supposed to be there.
so what if every sleep paralysis incident is just a soft reboot? Triggered when a consciousness starts asking too many questions or sees too much. The shadow shows up, your body freezes, the scene resets, and in the morning, you forget, or you just write it off as a nightmare.
and now it gets really wild, because if that's true, then lucid dreamers, mediators, and psychonauts are code breakers. They're the ones glitching through the firewall, and the shadow figures, they're actually admin protocols meant to intimidate you back into compliance.
So maybe shadow people aren't real, but that doesn't mean they're imaginary. They're structural, environmental, the way a machine looks when it's correcting you.
And the only reason you remember any of this is because the reset failed. You woke up mid edit, and for a second, you saw the bones of the world.
So, coming up next, we've got what if these beings aren't external at all? Not ghosts, not aliens, not even cold. What if they're us? Split off, buried, and returning to merge.
So here we are, 8 segments, 8 segments in. We've blamed it on the brain, the demons, the jinn, the glitches. But maybe the real horror is that the shadow isn't them. It's you.
So, let's talk about the self, the fractured self. Gungian psychology calls it the shadow archetype, the parts of ourself we repress, deny, disown. Not evil, not wrong, just unclaimed. And the more we repress, the more it visits.
So what if sleep paralysis isn't a disorder? It's actually a confrontation with the part of you you've buried so deep that the only time it can emerge is when your body is frozen, when you can't run, and you have to see yourself.
So let's line this up, right? Sleep paralysis often happens during emotional distress, identity crisis, or CM cycles. Moments where your conscious mind is overwhelmed and your subconscious says it's my turn. Enter the shadow, literalized, anthropomorphized, right? A projection of your fear in your own shape.
And that's why it doesn't attack. It doesn't move. It just watches. Because you're watching you. Then you won't talk about. The you pretend isn't there. That's why the longer you ignore it, the more often it comes. It just wants to be seen.
And this kind of explains why the lady who was getting sleep paralysis demons through her entire childhood and most of her adulthood, when she confronted it, just sort of went away because she accepted it, right?
Yeah.
And here's where it gets eerie. When people face the shadow, like really look at it, they describe emotional release, right? Tears, clarity, a shift, and the shadow just stops coming at them. Not because it was defeated, but because it was integrated.
So, what if the terror is the resistance and the freedom is in the recognition? The moment you say, I know what you are me, is the moment you stop running and start healing.
Carl Jung said,
One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but making the darkness conscious.
and maybe sleep paralysis is the oldest, rawest, most unfiltered version of that process. A biological initiation. You sleep, you fracture, you meet the part of you you've locked away, and it stares right back at you.
And here's the final twist. What if some of us have entire lives we never integrated? Past selves, past traumas, past versions split off like shards and left in the dark. What a shadow isn't a metaphor, it's a forgotten lifetime. And every time we sleep, we just go far enough to touch what we left behind.
So maybe it's not evil, maybe it's not outside, maybe it's an invitation to remember to merge, to become whole, even if it means walking through your own darkness first.
There's a reason we fear the dark. Not because it hides monsters, but because it might reveal us.
And when you wake up tonight, not fully awake, not fully dreaming, when your body freezes and the silence hums, and the shadow steps into the frame, ask yourself, did it come from outside you, or was it waiting inside you all along?
The figure in the corner might not be watching you. It might be waiting for you to notice that you're not alone in your own skin.
So next time it arrives, don't ask, what are you? Ask, why are you back? And if you listen closely, you might hear the answer. Or worst, you might feel it.
This has been Unreal Unsolved. Sleep deep. And if you can't move, just try not to scream.
Bye
Bye.
bye.